Thank you very much, Councillor. I would like to start by wishing you, the staff here in the Dáil, including the guards, and all here in the Dáil, a very happy Christmas. Taoiseach, are you aware of the many crises that are hitting farmers recently? I will start with knackeries. This week, Taoiseach, where there is a strike ongoing, leaving dead animals with the knackeries in this country, leaving dead animals on the ground of farms for days, open to dogs and vermin attack, as well as the stress of mental health of a farmer and their families having to endure this smell and visual for days. The renderers have had a massive increased charge put on them and no longer find it viable to collect fallen animals. Minister McConnell has stated that acquiring a burial licence for dead animals comes with strict environmental conditions. But I ask, where's the environmental concerns to have a dead animal in farmers' yards for days on end? It is shocking, but everyone seems to be standing back and not creating a solution. I move on, Taoiseach, to the ICBF, who at the stroke of a pin overnight wiped out farmers' incomes of up to 44%, costing these mainly suckler farmers tens of thousands of euros by undervaluing their bulls. Farmers who were doing everything by the ICBF book for 10 years were met with an overnight change that destroyed their farm practices and their income. Also, in the past 2 weeks, Taoiseach, many farmers have been told that their farm payments under acre scheme will not be paid to them, like promised in November-December. This means 27,000 farmers, 60%, will not get their payments now, but maybe in February or later. This is a payment out time for farmers who promised co-ops, contractors and others they would have the money to pay the bills, and now they can't. Not that they won't, simply they can't. Look at the nitrates crisis that farmers have been plunged into. Thousands of farmers are going to have to cull cattle in the new year to comply with these extreme guidelines. I have spoken to these farmers who are pleading for some short-term movement with the department, as they were misled, they feel, with the senior politicians visiting parts of West Cork, giving hope of some movement that never materialised. And if this movement is not forthcoming, why not a compensation package for these losses incurred by these farmers early next year? And if this is not enough of a hammer blow by this government on agriculture, the new sneaky VAT reclaim changes will put any future new or existing farm building projects in doubt, Taoiseach. This inability of unregistered farms to draw back VAT on certain farm equipment, which they could until recently, is the difference on many farm projects going ahead or not. This is nothing but a direct attack on the future investment in farms. In my own constituency clinic in Clonakilty last Saturday, a farmer who had his full plans, a young farmer, who had his full plans on building a new round milking parlour, feed bins, bulk tanks, plus further works, which was going to cost him, Taoiseach, 360,000, with 82,800 of this in VAT, which he was able to reclaim before this, but now cannot reclaim. This has left the whole of this farm investment project paused. Taoiseach, what would you say to this young farmer? Do you honestly accept that this is an effort by government to shut down good farm practices? And if I am wrong, how do you see a solution to these 5 issues?
First of all, I want to thank the Deputy for raising multiple issues in the overall umbrella of farming and agriculture. And could I say that the fundamental objective of government is to protect farm family incomes. The most effective mechanism to do that is through the Common Agricultural Policy, and we did negotiate a Common Agricultural Policy for the period 2023 to 2027, which with a strong focus on supporting family farms regardless of size or location. And we are looking at close to €10 billion in total between EU and Exchequer funding, will support over 120,000 farm families under the new cap. 50% increase in Pillar 2, Deputy, in rural development funding compared to the last cap, and a five-fold increase in support for organic farmers, specific supports for women farmers for the first time. And in the first year of the new cap, some 1.2 billion has been paid to farmers. And payments will continue to issue to farmers this month across a number of schemes. Could I just say, you raised knackeries and fallen animals and so forth, and again, you referenced, I think you were implying perhaps that the environmental standards were too high. You might clarify that. We need to be cautious there, Deputy. I think we have to have strong environmental standards in terms of the disposal of animals, and that's in these days we can't play fast and loose. We can't play fast and loose with that. So I didn't quite get the context that you were referencing that, but you might clarify that. And in respect of the meeting in West Cork, I think you referred to me going down there. Your reply, you said senior politician. I know you weren't there, but you said a senior meeting. I was there. Deputy Christopher Sullivan facilitated it, and actually, it was a very constructive meeting. We actually went to see how farmers in the Timoleague, Kilbrittain area were dealing with a research project with Talgask in respect of water quality. We spent a good 3 hours there, and it was informative, insightful. But the bottom line in the discussion afterwards: how do we avoid losing the derogation or going below 220? There was a lot of realism actually at that meeting. A lot of people realised the reality of the situation, but what was critical is that nationally we take every effort, working with the farming community to make sure we don't go below the 220 limit, and that we retain that at the time of the next review. And I think that is important, that we work collectively and in partnership with the farming community to achieve that. On the acres scheme, you do know, Deputy, that initially was planned to take in applicants in 2 tranches, with 30,000 in tranche 1. But the government made a decision to accept all valid applications submitted last year. There are up to 46,000 farmers actively in the scheme, if not more. But that has created pressure on the department in respect of the payments, and the department officials are working flat out now to get advance payments to acres farmers commencing on the 18th of December, and up to 992 acres participants in County Cork will be included in that. So everything has been done to pay as soon as possible all acres participants who clear prepayment checks. I think it's a good sign that there was such a high demand for the acre scheme. It shows that farmers believe it's worthwhile, it's impactful, and it's proved very popular. And I think we took the right decision to expand it and to include as many farmers as we possibly could.
Deputy Collins.
Thank you very much indeed, and thank you for your response, Taoiseach. But I do need to explain to you, in relation to the knackeries, the dead animals are on the ground, so it's no point in talking about strict environmental rules. Sadly, they are fallen animals that have died over the last 2 weeks. And there's a dispute ongoing there that the Minister hasn't personally intervened, which he has to personally intervene. It's the stress, it's the environmental fallout from having a fallen animal on the ground. I'm listening to your response, and I don't think you realise the crises that are going on with these farmers. I've just mentioned 5 of them, and I don't see any solution. The knackery issue with the dead animals stays unresolved. Farmers losing 44% of their income due to the ICBF's incompetence still remains unresolved. Farmers' payments on the acre scheme, you said some are getting paid. Most won't get paid until February. There's a rumour it might be March or April for some of them. That's a hammer blow to some farmers. Movement with the nitrates stuck in farmers. You might have gone down, but you'd want to go back down now and meet the farmers at Timoleague and Kilbrittain and Barryroe, because there's a fury there, an absolute fury, that there's no movement, and there hasn't been no chance of a compensation package, at least for the beginning of this year, if not any other time. And Taoiseach, the VAT penalty against the farmers, which you didn't use, which didn't speak about, which will stop any future investment to farms, needs urgent action. Can you answer what is going to happen here with these critical issues, Deputy, as farmers are furious on your inaction that is putting their livelihoods at risk?
Time is up, please.
Well, Deputy, that in respect to the VAT issue, I did say you raised a multiplicity of issues. The farm organisations are being invited in to meet the revenue commissioners and the Department of Finance to discuss the VAT issue next week. That is happening. The department works with the farming organisations and work with farmers on these issues. And the department is also working to resolve the issue in respect of the knackery situation and the fallen animals and the issues that have arisen. And I would be confident that they can get a working resolution of that issue for farmers more generally. I mean, our whole approach is to get payments to farmers, to facilitate. That's why we've allocated the resources. We're not out to get anybody or undermine anybody, Deputy. And the acres, I think, has been a very successful initiative. The evidence of that is by the number of people who have actually applied. And I've no doubt that the department will do everything it possibly can. The extra numbers were significant. It was originally planned for 30,000. There's 46 to 50,000 now involved.
Thank you.
That, by definition,
Thank you,
increases the pressure on the department.